Hey, welcome to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And we're going to finish our series on these free agents. And today we're going to talk about free agents, edge rushers, and defensive tackles. Now, to be honest, in my opinion, I don't think the Steelers are in this market at all for edge rusher or defense. I mean, they do need a defensive tackle, but I don't think none of these guys um, is what the Steelers need. And to be quite honest, when you look at this list, there's nobody that I would really want to really invest any money in. Some of these guys are, for one thing, they're older, but just it's not a fit for the Steelers. But got to go over them and just see, talk about who's out there. But like I say, I don't see the Steelers looking at any of these guys and trying to make anything happen with any of these guys. So, with that said, let's get right into it. Starting off with the number one guy, it's probably going to be Trey um, Henderson. I mean, like you say, and I want you to pay attention to all these guys' age. A lot of these guys are in their 30s, 6'4", 265 pounds, 31 years old, coming off a injury riddled year. Then a part of that was he was injured. Then I think he was kind of, you know, him and the Bengals were going at it. So to say how injured he was, really don't know. But he's 31 years old. So at this point, is he probably a guy that could still, in the right system, give you, you know, 9, 10 sacks? Probably can. And now, if you're a team that's gonna, you feel like you're gonna make a push for the Super Bowl, then he's probably your guy. He's probably your guy, especially if you can somewhat play him on a rotation that he doesn't have to just get a lot of snaps, and then you can kind of keep him fresh, and maybe have him fresh for a playoff run. Then he's your guy. As you can see, he only played limited last year. 16 tackles, 4 sacks, one forced fumble, one pass defense. So again, not nothing that the Steelers would be looking for. Uh, Maybe a team like Chicago or um, you know, a team like that, like I say, that feel as though their Super Bowl window is open, and maybe they need they pass rush need a little bump. Then he's probably going to be that type of guy. But um, again, not a guy for the Steelers. Now, here go a guy that if you're going to sign any edge rusher, Jalen Phillips is probably the guy you're going to sign. Just off his age, he's 26 years old. Um, he had 53 tackles last year, 5 sacks, one forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 pass defense. Now he's a guy that you could, probably give him a nice size contract. Well, you would have to give him a nice size contract, but he's a guy that you could bring in and you know and have a good situation. I really think the Eagles probably going to try to find a way to keep him, but again, if I was a team and I was in the edge market, he's probably my number one guy that I would be definitely looking at. Like I say, just because of his age, and he got nice size too, 6'5", 266 pounds. So he's a nice size guy. Like I say, he's young. So I would say he's probably the number one guy in my book, but again, like I say, not for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers won't be looking at this market. They probably gonna. I mean, they don't have to do it this year, but I would try to get it done. Um, Herbert, they're gonna have to pay him. So I would definitely try to work something out with him because the longer you wait, it's just gonna cost you more money. So you might as well try to get it done now, and try to save you a couple of coins because um, you know, like I say, the longer you wait, it just end up costing you at the end. Again, another guy, Khalil Mack, 34 years old. I mean, what are we doing? Um, I almost think it's a good possibility that he retire. I'm quite sure it's a great possibility that he might just hang it up because I'm quite sure at this point in his career, he definitely want to go to a contender, and I'm quite sure he has in his mind it's a certain point of money that he's not gonna go below, and if he doesn't get the money that he's willing to take, I'm quite sure he just will call it a career. So again, um, a team that's trying to maybe add one more little piece to a defense to maybe help them push towards the Super Bowl. That's about all. That's about all he is at this point. Um, he had 5.5 sacks last year. So like I say, if you could play him as a situational guy, probably will work out for you. His days as a everyday down player is pretty much over. And like I said, I think he probably has a number in his head that he won't go below. And if nobody gets to that number, I could see him just calling it a career. Ode Orwar. Now, this is another interesting guy here. He's still young, 27 years old, 6'5", 251 pounds. How you doing, Yolanda? Um, really not sure why the Ravens even traded him. I don't know what was going on there. But again, I feel like if you're in the market for a edge rusher, this is the guy that I would take a look at. Just depending on what he's asking for. I mean, I wouldn't get crazy and give him a crazy contract, but this is a guy that you could at least feel comfortable, signing him to a 3, maybe even a 4-year deal, and put him in the right system. I think he'll be okay. He's kind of light. He's a little light, 251 pounds, but he's young, 27 years old. He had this was between two teams. He had 38 tackles, 7.5 sacks. So he's a guy that can get to the quarterback. He's a guy that can definitely get to the quarterback, and I'm quite sure he's probably going to be a guy that's going to be signed very quick. So I'm not going to say in the first hours of free agency, but I would say by day 2, day 3, he's going to be out of there. He'll be on the team, and I don't know. I don't know if San Diego. Why I'm calling him San Diego. I don't know if the Chargers, LA Chargers, is going to try to bring him back. I don't even know if maybe Baltimore may try to get him back because they definitely couldn't get to the quarterback. So, like I say, I don't know why. What you got here, Yolanda? What you got? That's my guy. I want him to come back home to the Ravens. Yeah, he may. He may. If you can, why did they even trade him? What was going on there? Because the Ravens really couldn't get to the quarterback, and this was the one guy I thought they had that could get to the quarterback, and they traded him. I didn't understand that. What was that about? But again, if I'm in the market for an edge, I'm definitely got him high on my list. And the last guy, Joey Bosa, again, you know, he didn't really look too good in Buffalo. 30 years old. Again, we made a dumb decision. There you go, right there. Yolanda said the Ravens made a dumb decision to trade him. Yeah, like I say, I can't figure that one out. Why would they do that? A young guy like that, and he could get to the quarterback, and you kind of put your team in a situation where you had nobody that could get to the quarterback. So that was just weird to me. But Joey Bosa, 6'5", 280, 30 years old. Again, he's going to be one of those guys I'm not going to give a super contract to. But if you're a team that need a piece, I would definitely look at him that way. 1 year deal, 2 years, maybe max. You know, 38 tackles, 7.5 sacks. So he was still somewhat. He still was somewhat productive. I don't know. Again, not nothing that the Steelers would be looking at. That's for sure. But with that said, let's move on. And as you can see, these edges, and you'll see with these defensive tackles, it's just not a good market. And I think now what I'm seeing in free agency is with the money going up. So everybody, even though you got some teams that's more strapped than others in the free agencies as far as with the cap, but as we all know, that cap can be finagled all kinds of ways. And I think most teams have figured it out, and they're not. You just don't see those big time. You just don't see those big time guys hitting free agency anymore. Now you will have some guys that will hit it, especially if you have a team just like prime example, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to eventually lose some guy. Like they have some young, nice pieces on their offensive line, but unfortunately for the Steelers, they got all those guys right at the same time. So you get all those guys that's going to be free agents at the same time. You can't keep all of them. So that's how you kind of will see some good guys kind of slide through the cracks and become free agents, or will become unrestricted free agents, especially when you get guys that hit, second round picks, and because the first round you got an option with the fifth year. The fifth year, you can add the fifth year to their deal. But anybody after the first round, it's 4 years and out. So you either gonna have to sign those guys after 3 years, or they're gonna play their last year out, and then they're gonna be unrestricted free agents. And say if you get like I say with the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken, Frazier and McCormick, and I think they right tackle may be also in there too. So all those guys gonna hit free agent. Well, no, the right tackle he was a first round pick, so they'll use the fifth year option, so he won't hit it. But Frazier and McCormick, your guard and center, they're gonna hit free agency at the same time, and it might be a situation where you already know I got a guy that I'm gonna have to pay next year, and you might have to let one of those guys go. So I just think teams are doing much better with the cap now, and they're not letting guys hit free agency. And now you're starting to see it because I think this year, regardless of position, it's just not a lot of big name guys out there. It's some second tier type guys. It's a lot of older guys out here. I mean, with defensive tackles, DJ Reader, 6'3", 330, um, did okay with Detroit this past year. Yeah, 28 tackles, no sacks. But again, you know, 30 years old. I don't know what you really gonna get out of him. But again, and I could see Detroit maybe even bringing him back. But again, just gonna be guys that if you're missing a piece and you want to get a veteran guy in there, it's a lot of those type guys that's gonna be in this free agents class. But as far as big time guys, you just not gonna see that. And another prime example right here, DeJuan Jones. Um, Again, look at his age, 34 years old. This is another guy that could definitely, if he don't get the number that he's looking for, um, I can see him just retiring. He had a decent year though. Didn't play bad. Um, for a defensive tackle, but again, 34 years old. He's a situational guy at this point. You don't want to really have to bring him in and really count on him a lot, just because of his age. And I think he's a guy that if he don't get the number that he's looking for, um, he's gonna say adios and probably just go ahead and retire. So we got David Onyemata, another 6'4", 310 pounds, again, 33 years old. So it's just not a it's not a good free agent class, and especially with defensive tackles, the good ones, you're not gonna see those guys. You're not gonna see those guys seeing free agency. Now, what you will see, what teams are doing now, and what you're seeing more in the NFL, you're seeing more trades in the NFL. Because before, you go back a few years ago, the NFL was never making trades. I mean, you might have 2, 3 guys get traded the whole year, but now it seems like teams are doing more trades than really letting these guys get to free agency. So that's just what it is. Like I say, teams are working with the cap better, and the money is flowing in. The money is, because like right now they're talking about the cap may go up 10, $15 million, if 20 million. So even though these teams are up against it, they know how a team could be $1 million under the cap and overnight make some moves and cut some guys, and next thing you know, they're $40 million under the cap. So, like I say, people have figured it out. They can handle it better, and a lot of teams are definitely keeping their good players, and you know. So, with that said, as you can see, it's not a big market for any of these guys. He had 62 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. So 62 tackles, that's actually not bad for a defensive tackle. So that's letting you know he's very active. He's very active in there. Um, Another one, defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, 6'4", 310. I think the Titans kind of use him more as a D end than more of a D tackle. But again, age 30, we at age 30, 41 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. So again, not a guy that is going to cite anybody. More of a guy that if you need a piece, you can have him. And then the last guy, Tierra Tart, 6'2", 315 pounds. As you can see, the Chargers got a lot of guys on this list. Age 28. So, this is a guy, he got a little bit, he can still got a little bit left. A big nose run stopper. He's a guy, for the right price. He might have a nice little market. 32 tackles, one forced fumble, one fumble return. I mean, one fumble recovery, and four pass defense. So that's it for the ends and the defensive tackles. Like I say, it's not really nothing to get too excited about. And if you're a team that's really in that market, which I think the Steelers are kind of in that market, but I think the Steelers are going to take care of their problem that they need to fix in the draft. I think they're going to draft some guys. Me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing two um, nose tackles, but we'll see how that works out. But again, if you're kind of looking for an edge rusher or a defensive tackle, run stopper, it's slim pickings. It's some guys out there, a little older, a little long in the tooth, but like I say, and you're going to see this in all the positions. It's just like I said again, the teams are doing much better at re-signing their guys, working at manipulating the cap and working it to their advantage, and being able to keep a lot of their own guys. And so it's just not a lot of guys out on the market, especially this year. So I think we're gonna have the linebackers tomorrow. So we'll do the outside linebackers and the inside linebackers. But now the one big market, and I don't know about this position. Will it be any guys available? But the one market where you can do some damage and it's kind of free agency, but when guys get cut, because usually it's some decent guys that'll get cut. Just like say if Patrick Queen, yeah, you be hearing rumors that maybe he might be on the outs, but to me, I don't even see how. Just got a new staff in here, so they you know I don't know. I don't even see how people is really thinking that or putting that out there. Because like I say, it's a new staff now. Unless this staff already know the type of linebacker they need, and he definitely doesn't fit what they want to do. But I would almost think that a lot of these guys for the Steelers will be coming back. And you'll see a big purge next year. I think next year would be the year that you're gonna see a giant purge of guys getting up out of here. But I don't think this year. I mean, it's a few guys that's kind of aging out. I think those guys, you already kind of know those guys are gone. But Patrick Queen, I don't know. If they think he's making too much money, maybe they might come to him, about taking a pay cut or something. But just to say that they're going to cut him, because all that does, if you get rid of Patrick Queen, that's just another hole that you're opening up. And you don't have. I could see if you got a stud sitting behind him, and that guy's ready to go. Then yeah, I can see releasing him, but you ain't really got nothing sitting behind him. So you cut him, that just leaves another hole that you got to fill. So with that said, that's it for today. You guys take care. Like I said, tomorrow I think we're gonna have the inside linebackers and some outside linebackers, or we'll see, or maybe I'll just do um, linebackers and safeties or something. But we'll figure it out. But we'll have a show tomorrow, because a lot of your outside linebackers are going to be these edge guys. But we'll see what I can come up with. But again, not really exciting market for these two positions. And like I said, I know the Steelers are definitely not in this market, so they won't be looking at none of these guys. But until then, you guys take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.